My girlfriend is an heiress. After 5 years together, I had finally passed all of her family's endless tests. On the eve of our engagement party, Sophia was talking to a few of her besties. I have to go to London with Liam for 2 weeks, she said. As for Mike, if he asks where I am, just cover for me. Suddenly, comments started floating in my vision. Here it is, the male lead's final test. The female lead's friends are all basically supermodels. You gotta admit, Sophia has some nerve, taking off on a trip with her guy best friend and leaving her handsome fiancé with a den of vipers. Sophia just loves playing games. Next thing you know, her man's gonna get stolen right out from under her. To be fair, you can't really blame her. Her first love in high school cheated on her with her own best friend, so she's a little paranoid. As long as the male lead passes this final test, they'll get married and live happily ever after. Sophia, you're about to get engaged. Why are you still running off to London with Liam? One of her friends asked. His depression is getting worse. He's threatening suicide every day. I can't just abandon him, Sophia said, rubbing her temples. Liam's been in love with you for years. Of course he can't handle you suddenly getting married. But aren't you worried Mike will be upset when he finds out? What's there to be upset about? I'm just going with him to see a therapist. Besides, you guys are here, right? If he gets upset, just cheer him up for me. I'll be back in 2 weeks, max. She's so clueless, asking her own friends to look after her fiancé. This is the final test Sophia has set up for the male lead. She just wants to see if he'll keep a perfect distance from her friends while she's away. Once bitten, twice shy. It makes sense, since her first love was stolen by her ride or die. But if he passes this, she'll finally believe he truly loves her. Honestly, her friends are like a squad of top models. They're all gorgeous and fierce. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to resist. Seriously, it's like being surrounded by a group of goddesses. Who could handle that? Hey now, our Laura just got back to the country 6 months ago. She hasn't been corrupted by this crew yet. Sigh. The only innocent one left is Laura. I stared at the comments. My hand, which had been on the doorknob, went limp. Sophia was a true tycoon's daughter. From the moment we met 5 years ago, her family had been incredibly critical and demanding of me. Because our family backgrounds were worlds apart, our relationship had been anything but easy. Sometimes, dating Sophia felt like a video game, constantly leveling up, fighting monsters, and passing tests. Luckily, after I'd finally beaten all the levels, her family agreed to let us get engaged. I let out a sigh of relief. The final leg of the marathon was finally here. What man doesn't want to spend the rest of his life with the person he loves? I just never expected I'd start seeing these comments. So, Sophia was planning to go to London with Liam, and she was going to use her absence to test me? To see if I would keep a safe distance from her friends? To see if I'd be seduced by one of them? Was that really what this was? I knew all of Sophia's friends, of course. Just as the comments said, every single one of them was devastatingly beautiful and rich. I used to think it was just that beautiful people like to hang out with other beautiful people. I never imagined that the world was actually just a novel, and I was the male lead. I'd read enough of these kinds of novels in high school to know that system worlds were crawling with male leads of all types, so I wasn't particularly surprised. As I stood there, stunned, someone bumped into me. I looked up. Liam, Sophia's guy best friend. Move it. He shot me a cold glare, spat out the words, and pushed the door open. It was Olivia's birthday, so the whole crew was here. Liam walked into the room and sat down directly to Sophia's left. It was a love seat. Someone shot Liam a look. He didn't move a muscle, just snorted. Why should I move? Who the hell is he? Honestly, I had no intention of taking his seat. With so many people here, it's not like I had to sit right next to Sophia. But it seemed like there was only one spot left. I had no choice but to sit next to Laura. Sophia's gaze drifted over to me, her expression cool. She didn't say a word. We hadn't spoken in 3 or 4 days. I had actually come today to make peace. It all started last Saturday. With the engagement coming up, we had a lot to do. We were at her family's house, going over the guest list for the engagement party. Halfway through, her phone rang. It was the housekeeper from Liam's family. She said Liam was sitting on the third-floor balcony and refusing to come down, insisting on seeing Sophia. This was the nth call Sophia had gotten about Liam threatening suicide since we'd set our engagement date. After hanging up, she immediately prepared to leave. Maybe we should call 911 for him, I suggested. I admit, I was a little annoyed at the interruption. Sophia frowned at my words. What do you mean? I stayed calm and told her the truth. It's because you give in every single time that he feels he can threaten you again and again without any consequences. Why don't you just call the police? Sophia's expression soured. Liam is threatening suicide, and you want me to call the cops? What if he actually jumps? I shot back, do you really think he's going to jump? That one sentence set Sophia off. She thought I was being too cold-blooded. For the past few days, she hadn't answered my calls or replied to my texts. I thought about it later and realized that maybe what I said was a bit out of line. Although I still believed Liam wouldn't actually kill himself. But Sophia wasn't like me. They grew up together, so of course their bond was deeper. It was normal for her to be worried about him. So, after finding out they were all gathering here tonight, I came over on my own initiative, hoping to smooth things over with her. Bored, someone suggested we play a dice game. First round, Liam lost. The penalty was a drink. Sophia, I don't want a drink. Can you drink it for me? He said, his voice laced with dependence. Sophia naturally took the glass from him and downed it in one go. Second round, Liam lost again. His voice got even softer. Sophia. Sophia ended up drinking 4 or 5 glasses for him. When it was my turn for a penalty drink, someone laughed and said, Mike, you don't have to drink. Let Sophia take it for you. Liam's face immediately fell, full of displeasure. No, Sophia can't drink anymore. I looked at Liam. He looked right back at me, his gaze direct and challenging. I could even feel him openly trying to assert dominance over me. It was strange. I wasn't that angry, even with all his hostility, because I knew his opinion didn't matter to me at all. The person I cared about was Sophia, so I shifted my gaze to her. As if she knew what I was about to say, Sophia spoke softly. Mike, I really can't drink too much tonight. There's the female lead's stubborn pride. She's still pissed at him about the other day. She just wants to save face in front of her friends and make the male lead grovel a little more. Keep playing games. Just don't let it blow up in your face. I lowered my eyes and didn't say anything else. It was just a glass of beer. My tolerance wasn't great, but I wasn't a one-drink wonder either. But as soon as I took the penalty drink, another comment popped up. Did the male lead just grab Laura's glass? I think so. Laura looks a little weird. Ahem. Cough. Cough. Couldn't help but cough. Belatedly, I picked up the glass I just used and looked at it. Did I grab the wrong one? They all looked exactly the same. I glanced apologetically at the person next to me. Is this yours? She lifted her eyelids, and her clear, dark eyes landed on my face, lingering for a few seconds. She nodded. I was mortified, my voice barely a whisper. I'm so sorry. After that, I lost 3 rounds in a row. 3 penalty drinks. Even Olivia couldn't take it anymore. Mike, you can't keep losing like this. Maybe you should find someone to drink for you. The others chimed in with a laugh. Yeah, if you get wasted, Sophia's going to have our hides later. I really wasn't good at games like dice. I would have preferred never have I ever. I was about to announce my withdrawal. But Laura, beside me, calmly picked up a glass, her voice clear and crisp. I'll drink for him. Before I could refuse, she had already raised the glass and drained it. The game continued. But my skills were terrible, or maybe my luck was just that bad. Laura ended up drinking a dozen or so glasses for me. Even I couldn't watch anymore. I'll drink it myself. She just replied lightly, it's fine. Mike, get a clue. Stop interacting with Laura. LOL. Sophia is staring at him like an ice queen. Her jealousy is already off the charts. This is the final test, Mike. Don't screw this up. You have to keep your distance. You and Sophia are about to get engaged. The comments reminded me, so I glanced over at Sophia. Sure enough, her expression was dark and gloomy as she stared at me without blinking. Was she upset just because Laura drank for me? She wouldn't drink for me. But she wouldn't let anyone else do it either? That was a bit of a double standard. When the party finally ended, I wanted to find Sophia to talk. Instead, I saw Liam pulling her aside.
Sophia, I'm dizzy.
Take me to the hospital. Sophia glanced over at me nonchalantly, then nodded in agreement. I walked over to them. Her tone was flat. Liam isn't feeling well. I have to take him to the hospital first. You can get home on your own. I just stood there watching her. This was Olivia's villa in the suburbs, built halfway up a mountain. Just walking down to the main road would take over an hour. My car wasn't allowed on the road today due to driving restrictions, so I had taken a taxi here. Sophia was driving an SUV. I could have easily hitched a ride with her back to the city, but she told me to go home on my own. How was I supposed to get back? See? The female lead is definitely mad. All because Laura drank for him earlier. Mike, whatever you do, don't take a ride from her other friends. The female lead will be even angrier if she finds out. She hates it when her boyfriend doesn't have boundaries with her friends. Exactly. Your best bet is to just walk down the mountain slowly. After she drops her guy friend at the hospital, she'll come right back to get you. Only this will be enough to slowly calm her down. Don't worry. She wouldn't let you walk all that way in this heat. She'll be back to pick you up in an hour at most. The comments didn't comfort me at all. They just felt ironic. Sophia knew I came here today to patch things up between us. We were about to get engaged, after all, and there were still so many tedious things to handle. She also knew the reason for our Cold War was Liam. But she still chose to abandon me at this moment and leave with him. All because her friend drank for me during a game. But didn't Sophia herself drink several glasses for Liam? She wanted me to maintain boundaries with her friends. Yet she was so close with her own guy best friend. A ridiculous smile touched my lips. It was 100 degrees out, and I was supposed to walk slowly down the mountain? Was she crazy? I didn't wait for Sophia to come back for me, nor did I take a ride from any of her friends. I called an Uber and went home. After that day, I didn't rush to send Sophia any more long, apologetic texts. She was busy, of course. Based on the comments that popped up from time to time, I knew she had gone to London with Liam. My silence probably came as a relief to her. A couple on the verge of engagement, still in a Cold War. We were probably the only ones. Saturday morning, I was at the office when I suddenly got a call from my neighbor, an older woman, saying my mother had been taken to the hospital after coughing up blood. My heart skipped a beat in terror. I hurriedly requested time off and rushed to the hospital. The attending physician gave me a long-winded explanation. My mind was a complete fog, but 2 words cut through. Lung cancer. How could that be possible? My mom was still so young, not even 50. The doctor added that, thankfully, it was caught early. If she had surgery soon and it went well, her 5-year survival rate could be very high. I clung to that like a lifeline, asking frantically, surgery? Okay, how much money do I need to get ready? The estimate is around 50,000. Hearing that, I rushed home to scrape the money together. My mom had been frugal her whole life. After divorcing my dad a few years ago, she used her savings to buy this small 2-bedroom apartment. The renovations cost a lot, and she didn't have much left. All told, it wasn't more than 5,000. My salary was decent, but I had only been working for a little over a year and had recently bought a car. My savings were only about 15,000. You never realize how little money you have until you desperately need it. At that moment, I started to regret not being more frugal with my spending. I hesitated for a long time, but with no other choice, I decided to call Sophia. Sophia. When she answered, my voice was a little quiet, tinged with apprehension. Mike, what's wrong? Hearing her familiar voice gave me a bit of courage. I sniffled, finally forcing the words out. Can you lend me 30,000? It's an emergency. In the 5 years we'd been together, Sophia and I had always split everything 50-50. Honestly, this was the first time I had ever asked her for money. The other end of the line went silent for a long time. So long that my palms started to sweat, and I even thought she had hung up, until I saw the comments floating above my head. The male lead is so clueless. He's hitting every single one of the female lead's triggers. Seriously, Mike doesn't seem too bright. They're about to get engaged, married by the end of the year at the latest, and he's asking her for money now. Ever since she poured a ton of money into her first love only to get betrayed, the female lead swore she would never be in a one-sided relationship again. Yeah, that's why she and Mike have been splitting everything for years. You think she doesn't have the money? She just doesn't want money to corrupt their love. The second he marries her and officially becomes a son-in-law of the White family, Sophia will transform into the world's most doting wife. She'll spoil him rotten, buying him every luxury imaginable, swiping her card until her hand cramps. Exactly. Then, forget 30,000. She wouldn't even blink at 300,000. Mike, can't you just wait a little longer? Wait until you pass all the tests and are married. It wouldn't be too late to ask then. My heart grew colder and colder. So that was it. Now, even the comments were selling me on this fantasy future, so Sophia didn't have to. Wait until I marry Sophia. Wait until I become a son-in-law of the White family. And what about in the future? Would I have to wait until I helped her succeed in her career, until I produced an heir for the White family? When exactly would this trial by high society ever end? Suddenly, I felt tired. Tired of the last 5 years of constantly pushing myself forward, of never being allowed a single misstep. Like a wind-up toy wound too tight. 5 years ago, a month after Sophia and I started dating, she took me to her family's home. That was the day I first truly understood the massive chasm created by class differences. Standing in a lakeside villa where the land alone was worth tens of thousands per square foot, I was completely out of my element. The intricate chandeliers cast a cold, brilliant light. A random painting on the wall was the work of some foreign master. Sophia's mother, dressed in haute couture, sat on an expensive Italian sofa, sipping coffee while sizing me up. The image is still burned into my memory. I've always been self-aware. The day after, I unilaterally broke up with Sophia. She didn't accept it. For 2 whole months, she tirelessly tried to win me back. She waited for me in the classroom outside my dorm in the library. She practically begged me, telling me she didn't want to break up, that she didn't want to give up on us. No matter what, she wanted to be with me. I finally caved. To be worthy of her, I studied day and night, often staying in the library until midnight. Eventually, I got into a top-tier master's program. After graduating, I got a job at a research institute. Professionally, at least, things looked much more respectable. Her mother looked down on my humble origins, thought I lacked business sense, and believed I would never fit into their high society circle. So, I used the money I earned from writing novels to study finance, art appreciation, and fashion. I even learned horseback riding and golf. I've always been a person with willpower and perseverance, never giving up until I achieved my goal. In 3 years, I earned my financial analyst certification. I could casually discuss international trends whenever financial news came up. When it came to fashion, I developed my own unique insights and style. At parties, whether I encountered a business mogul or a piece of antique art, I could hold a confident conversation. Gradually, the look in Sophia's mother's eyes grew more and more satisfied. She often brought me to various business receptions. I handled them all with ease. Whether I was talking to a corporate executive or an industry leader, I could quickly find common ground and build a rapport. Finally, the White family relented and agreed to let me and Sophia get engaged. At that moment, I was genuinely happy. After 5 years, I had finally conquered the mountain of social class and successfully met my love at the summit. But when I reached the top, I learned that this wasn't the happy ending. There were still thorns and tests here, too. And if I kept going, people would continue to lay uncertain landmines for me in the future. There was no telling when one would blow up in my face. So be it. I didn't want to go any further. There's a saying that's true. There's no point in trying so hard to fit into a circle where you don't belong. Why did the male lead hang up? Good news, the female lead is starting to hesitate. She really does love Mike. Mike, maybe you should call again. She might say yes this time. I didn't call back. After considering it for just a minute, I decided to sell my car. If that wasn't enough, I'd sell the 2-bedroom apartment too. Plenty of people rent these days. We could rent too. Worst case, after the surgery, once Mom was a bit stronger, we could take the money from the sale and move into our old family house in the countryside. The air is good there, the cost of living is low, it wouldn't be a bad place to live. Once I made the decision, I quickly contacted a used car dealership. They gave me a quote. The car could sell for about $6,000. Next, I listed the apartment with a real estate agent. I became incredibly busy, running back and forth between the office, the hospital, and home. Meanwhile, my mom was actively undergoing treatment, preparing for the upcoming surgery. 9 o'clock at night. After chatting with my mom in her hospital room for a while, I waited for her to fall asleep before getting ready to go home. I took the elevator down to the hospital's underground parking garage. After the ding, I suddenly remembered that I had sold my car to the dealership yesterday. Seriously, I shook my head at myself, about to press the button to go back up to the first floor. But I noticed the person next to me hadn't moved. She seemed to be looking at me. I instinctively turned my head and saw a vaguely familiar face. Laura. I was a little confused. What was she doing here? Laura looked at me, her expression also one of surprise. Since we knew each other, it was only natural to say hello. Realizing this, I managed a faint smile. Fancy seeing you here. She nodded slightly. Mike, what are you doing here? She was younger than me, and in our few previous meetings, she had always called me by my first name. My mom's a patient here, I explained. Laura paused, as if not expecting that answer. What floor is your aunt on? The 6th floor. She seemed to realize something and asked again. Is it serious? I nodded. The doctor said it's lung cancer. The elevator fell silent for a moment. Seeing she wasn't moving, I asked, are you heading out? I need to go up. Laura's gaze lingered on my face, a look of confusion in her eyes. Aren't you going to your car? I felt a bit embarrassed and rubbed my forehead. I just forgot. I sold my car yesterday. Then how are you getting home? I'll take the bus or a taxi. Her tone softened, and her next words surprised me. I'll give you a ride. It was pretty awkward. I had no idea where this sudden act of kindness from Ms. Laura was coming from. I kept my head down, scrolling through my phone, pretending to be busy. Suddenly, a voice cut through the silence. Have you been okay these past few years, Mike? My scrolling thumb froze. My eyes remained fixed on the screen for a few seconds before I slowly looked up at the girl in the driver's seat. I didn't think she'd even remember me. In the 6 months since we'd reconnected, she had barely said more than a few words to me, and her gaze had never lingered on me for more than a second. I had assumed she'd forgotten all about me. Yeah, I'm doing well. We hit a red light, and Laura turned to look at me. Her onyx-like eyes were dark and bright. When she looked at me, her expression was sincere and focused. She hadn't changed much. She still had that same vibrant, picture-perfect look from her teenage years. She had always been a beautiful girl. I remembered that line from the comments earlier. I had to admit, all of Sophia's friends were absolutely stunning. What about you? How have you been? I returned the polite pleasantry. Laura held the steering wheel with one hand, her expression distant, as if she had to think carefully before answering. Just so. This topic seemed to have run its course. After a moment, she added, I never thought you'd end up being Sophia's boyfriend. I smiled. I never thought you two would know each other. After that, neither of us spoke again. We hadn't seen each other in years, after all, and we didn't really know what to talk about. At the entrance to my apartment complex, as I was getting out of the car, Laura suddenly looked at me and said seriously, Mike, what's your phone number now? I paused, unconsciously pursing my lips, and recited a string of numbers. She nodded and then drove off. A couple of days later, I got a call from the attending physician. He told me that a top thoracic surgeon happened to be in a neighboring city for an academic conference. Their hospital had sent my mom's scans to this expert, and as soon as the conference ended next Tuesday, he would come to Chicago to personally perform my mom's surgery. He told me to get ready. I was completely shocked. Because of my mother's illness, I had been researching all sorts of information these past few days. I knew the medical expert he was talking about. He was indeed the top authority in this field in the country. I never imagined someone so renowned would agree to operate on my mom. Are you serious? You're not mistaken, are you? He chuckled on the other end of the line. Of course. Would our Director Lin lie? Director Lin? I think I understood. No wonder Laura was there yesterday. I hadn't realized her father was the director of the hospital. This was like a pie falling from the sky. For the first time, I saw the power of connections. After hanging up, I wanted to call Laura immediately, but I realized I didn't seem to have her number. I had to let it go. After work, I was talking to the real estate agent about the apartment. My phone rang again. This time, it was Sophia's mother. Mike, tomorrow's Saturday. How come you haven't come over yet? I held the phone, choosing my words carefully. Sophia's grandmother went to a nearby temple to pray every Saturday. The old woman was getting on in years, and tasks like copying scriptures were a bit strenuous for her. Not long after Sophia and I got together, her mother handed this glorious task over to me. Every Friday night, without fail, I would go to the White family's house to spend the night, and then on Saturday morning, I would accompany Grandma White to the temple for vegetarian meals, prayers, and scripture copying. I'm sorry, Mrs. White, but I won't be able to accompany Grandma to the temple this week. There was a moment of silence on the other end. She probably hadn't expected that answer. Sophia's mother's voice went up an octave, sounding displeased. You can't? What are you doing? I have something to do. What could be more important than accompanying Grandma to the temple? I didn't say anything. Mike, Grandma was just talking about you tonight. Can you bear to disappoint her? I knew why she was trying so hard to persuade me, because if I didn't go, the burden would fall on her. Copying scriptures was no easy task. You had to sit there for most of the day, with perfect posture and neat handwriting. By the end of the day, a sore back was a common occurrence. I'm sorry, Mrs. White. I really don't have time this week. I have to go. Goodbye. I arrived at the hospital. The attending physician must have told my mom the good news. She seemed to be in an exceptionally good mood. She ate a large bowl of rice and a small bowl of soup. I took her for a walk downstairs. Finally tired, she fell into a deep sleep. I was getting ready to go home. As I got into the elevator, I instinctively scanned the inside. I didn't see Laura. I walked out of the hospital and was about to hail a cab when an unknown number lit up my phone screen. I instantly guessed who it was. After I answered, a vaguely familiar voice came through. Are you heading home? As if by some sixth sense, I started looking around. Yeah. Where are you? Give me 3 minutes. Soon. A black G-Wagon pulled up in front of me. I got in the car. Have you eaten? Laura asked. A little. You? She didn't answer right away. It dawned on me. You haven't eaten yet? Why don't I treat you? What do you want to eat? I had no idea how to thank her, so I could only offer what little I could. Laura let out a soft her fingers tapping lightly on the steering wheel as if considering something. Finally, she said 2 words. Noodles. The next thing I knew, I was at Laura's place, making her noodles. As the tomatoes and beef slices tumbled in the rich broth, Laura leaned against the kitchen island and started a conversation. Why so late today? I went to see my real estate agent, I replied casually. What for? I thought about it. There was no reason not to tell her. I'm planning to sell my apartment. She was silent for 2 seconds, as if she understood. I can lend you the money. Quickly shook my head. Please don't. You've already helped me so much. I have no way to repay you as it is. The economy's slow right now. If you sell in a hurry, you'll lose a lot of money. If you feel bad about it, I can charge you interest. It was clear Laura wanted to help me, and she had a point. When the agent gave me his offer, my heart sank. It was basically half of what it was worth. Half the value of the home my mom had worked her entire life for was just gone. Aren't you afraid I'll run off with the money? I joked. She turned her head, her gaze suddenly deepening. The warm yellow light bloomed in her dark pupils, hiding emotions I couldn't quite decipher. Why don't you tell Sophia about this? Isn't she your girlfriend? She doesn't seem to be in Chicago right now. Laura snorted. She took Liam to London. I looked at her, surprised. I couldn't believe she would just tell me. Hadn't Sophia told them to cover for her, to keep it from me as much as possible? And she just came out and said it? Laura looked at me, her expression sincere. her tone more serious than ever before. Mike, Sophia is not the right person for you. I already knew that. I nodded. I know. I'm planning to break up with her. Laura's expression showed a hint of surprise, her eyes lingering on my face for a moment. Suddenly, she let out a light laugh. She seemed to be in a very good mood. The comments, which had been gone for days, reappeared. It's over, it's over. Laura's about to steal him. Whoa, so the male lead and Laura knew each other before. He used to be her tutor. For real? No wonder. I always thought Laura looked at Mike with a complicated expression. I had indeed been Laura's tutor for about a year. She was a sophomore in high school then, and I was a sophomore in college. I had tutored a girl in her neighborhood in biology before. That girl did well on her college entrance exams, so her parents recommended me to Laura's mother. At first, Ms. Laura was not a fan. She was always skipping class. Even after her mom disciplined her and dragged her to her room, she would just lay her head on the desk and sleep. I didn't care. Her mom was paying me. Even if she slept on the desk, I had to drone on like a monk chanting scriptures until the lesson was over. One time, she was playing a video game in her room while I was lecturing from a book, my throat dry. Suddenly, a loud argument erupted downstairs. Laura remained expressionless, continuing her game. The argument faded. But then, as if remembering something, she put down her controller, opened the door, and walked out. The little miss had run off, so of course I had to follow. On the staircase, we both heard her mom's voice.
I'm pregnant.
It's not yours. Let's get a divorce. Her dad's voice was surprisingly calm. Fine, we can divorce. You take Laura. I don't have time to deal with her. Laura's mother let out a ridiculous laugh. You're being cheated on and you're this calm? Why should I take Laura? This kid is a mess. And you just want to dump her on me? Who's the one who messed her up? Now you're blaming me? You've been busy with work all these years. Have you ever cared about her for a single day? I'm not taking Laura. My first daughter is a lost cause. I'm divorcing you and focusing on my new baby. You and your daughter can do whatever you want. I had guessed Laura's parents didn't have a great relationship, but I never expected it to be this bad. I felt awkward, not knowing whether to go back to the room or stay put. Laura's face was calm, but I still noticed her clenched fists and the white of her knuckles. After that, Ms. Laura went completely off the rails. She not only skipped school every day but also started hanging out with a bad crowd. Sensing my tutoring gig was about to end, I started looking for other part-time jobs. As luck would have it, on my third day working at a bar, I ran into my former employer's daughter. She was in a private room with a group of similarly delinquent-looking girls. A little later, I went to clean the room. Most of the people had left. Only Laura remained. She didn't look right. She was leaning against the sofa, her face an unnatural shade of red, not saying a word. Just then, a man in his 40s walked into the room. He leaned down, his hand stroking Laura's face, his eyes full of obsession. Something felt very wrong. After leaving the room, a colleague whispered to me mysteriously, "That pretty little girl is so unlucky. That creep has his eyes on her." My mind buzzed, instantly on high alert. "What did you say?" "That pervert is a serial predator who targets young girls. Everyone here knows. Her friends sold her out. 500. I just saw the guy pay them." Once I understood what was happening, I calmed down. Good thing I'd only worked here for 2 days. I probably wasn't getting paid. I went to the bar, grabbed a cheap bottle of red wine, and put down 2 $20 bills. Then I followed the man to the parking lot. Just as he opened the back door of his car and was about to shove Laura inside, I smashed the wine bottle over his head. The pervert clutched his head and turned around, looking at me in shock. I was afraid a second hit might kill him, so I went around and smashed every single one of his car windows. Security guards rushed over. I looked at the pervert calmly and said, "Want to call the cops? I just happened to record a video." The pervert knew what I meant. He glared at me fiercely but said nothing. I helped Laura up, called a cab, and took her home. She didn't wake up until noon the next day. I found a novel online with a relevant scene and handed my phone to Laura. "Read this." She took it dazedly and read for a moment. Then, as if it were a hot potato, she threw the phone back at me. Her expression was one of pure disgust. If I hadn't run into you yesterday, you would have become the female lead in this kind of novel. A victim. As for the criminal, let me show you what he looks like. I showed her the picture I took of the pervert last night. Laura covered her mouth, looking horrified. I could tell she wanted to vomit. I stood up and said earnestly, "You're not a kid anymore. Be smarter. Don't just hang out with anyone." I had earned a good amount of tutoring money from her family. Even though she hadn't listened much, at least I saved her last night. We were even. As I was about to leave, Laura suddenly called out to me. I turned back and saw her looking at me with a pleading expression. "I want beef noodles." 2 days later, her mother called and asked me to continue tutoring Laura. Our relationship improved. She started paying attention in class and studying seriously. I discovered she was actually very smart. Once she focused, her grades skyrocketed. One time, after explaining a problem to Laura, I gave her a pop quiz. Then, without realizing it, I fell asleep at the desk. I don't know how long I slept. When I woke up, I found Laura, chin in hand, staring at me intently. I don't know if I was groggy from sleep or what, but I didn't move. I just stared back at her. We looked at each other for a long time. She suddenly leaned closer, calling my name, a radiant smile on her lips. "What?" I mumbled. "If I can get into your university, will you promise me one thing?" I was about to ask her what it was, but the words died on my lips. There was a sound at the door. I turned my head reflexively. Laura's mother was standing by the door, her eyes dark and heavy, just watching us. I had no idea how long she had been there. I suddenly had a very bad feeling. Sure enough, the next day, Mrs. Lin found me and told me I didn't need to tutor Laura anymore. She also gave me $5,000 to buy my phone number and all my messaging accounts. This was a mother with a very strong sense of crisis. $5,000. I had no reason to refuse. To be honest, I felt a little guilty, because absolutely nothing had happened between me and Laura. I had basically just scammed her out of $5,000. I kept my promise and never contacted Laura again. Until 6 months ago, at a party, Sophia said she wanted to introduce me to one of her best friends, who had just returned to the country. That was the first time we had seen each other in 6 years. My mom's surgery was scheduled for Wednesday afternoon. The famous surgeon seemed to be good friends with Director Lin. He was even more friendly when he saw Laura. "I haven't seen you in years, Laura. You've grown so beautiful. You haven't changed a bit, Dr. Evans." Laura was very modest. He patted her shoulder warmly. "Such a beautiful young lady. Do you have a boyfriend?" Laura's voice was clear, her eyes on me. After a 2-second delay, I realized she was calling me and quickly walked over. Laura naturally linked her arm with mine. "Dr. Evans, this is my boyfriend, Mike. The patient you're operating on today is actually his mother. We're counting on you." I caught on. At a time like this, of course I had to play along. "Dr. Evans, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to perform my mother's surgery. I don't even know what to say to express my gratitude. Thank you for your hard work." Dr. Evans's face lit up with understanding. "So that's how it is." The surgery lasted 5 hours. It went smoothly. The attending physician said that with proper post-op therapy, my mother's 10-year survival rate could be as high as 70%, and even a 20-year survival was possible. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I had wanted to treat Dr. Evans to dinner, with Laura as the intermediary, but was told he had already left. Apparently, Laura's father and Dr. Evans were college classmates. They had a reunion tonight. I hired a nurse to take care of my mom. After several all-nighters, I could finally get a good night's sleep. Laura drove me home. As I was getting out of the car, she stopped me. I paused my hand on the seatbelt buckle. "Yeah, Sophia's back." I was a little surprised. "When?" "This afternoon." "Oh, so she's back. Are you going to break up with her?" Laura's eyes burned into mine, as if waiting for my answer. I thought about what the comments had said that day. So, Ms. Laura really was here to steal me. I almost laughed, then waved at her. "Get home and rest. You've worked hard these past 2 days. Just as I got to my apartment building, I saw a familiar Porsche parked by the flower bed. Sophia stood leaning against the car door, her arms crossed. A few cigarette butts lay scattered on the ground. When she saw me, her brow furrowed with clear displeasure. I stood my ground, waiting for her to come over. Mike, my mom said you didn't take my grandmother to the temple last Saturday. I couldn't believe she'd tattled so quickly. I admitted it frankly. Yeah, I didn't have time. Sophia stared at me coldly, her tone growing more and more dissatisfied. Do you even want to get engaged anymore? You can't even handle this one little thing. Do you have any idea my mom spent the whole day copying scriptures at the temple? Her hand was cramping. Let's break up. My sudden words cut off Sophia's complaints. She didn't react for a moment, just stared at me blankly. What did you say? Like you said, I don't want to get engaged anymore. Let's break up. From my expression, Sophia could see I wasn't joking. She stared at me, her eyes cold and sharp. Why? There is no why. I just want to break up. Is it because I wouldn't lend you the money? She had handed me the perfect excuse. I immediately admitted it. That's right. Sophia's pupils contracted, her gaze like a laser. Why did you start dating me in the first place? For my money? I sighed. After 5 years together, I could say with a clear conscience that I had never taken a single cent from Sophia. For Valentine's Day or other holidays, whenever she gave me a gift, I always gave her one of equal value in return. Movies, dinners, trips, we split all our dating expenses 50-50. Frankly, if I hadn't been dating her, I wouldn't have even needed to borrow money for my mom's surgery. A couple of years ago, I was making a decent 6 figures a year from my writing. But because her mom complained I had no business sense, all that money was wasted on finance courses, horse riding lessons, and golf. Yeah. I thought I'd found a rich girl to live the good life, but you turned out to be a cheapskate. I've been faking it for 5 years, and I just can't do it anymore. Let's break up. The comments popped up again. I can't. Why is the male lead saying these things? He was so close to passing all the tests and marrying into a rich family. Why would he break up now? Am I the only one who thinks the female lead is really cheap? She's an heiress, but she wouldn't even lend her boyfriend $30,000 for his mother's surgery. She's not cheap. She just doesn't want money to ruin her love. She just wants the male lead to love her purely. Sophia looked at me, as if utterly disappointed. Mike, I'll ask you one more time. Are you sure you want to break up? You're already 26. Besides me, who do you think is good enough for you? Or rather, what family would even want you? I suggest you go back and apologize to my mom, then start behaving yourself. Don't be stupid. I had to admit Sophia was a great catch. Beautiful, great body, good fashion sense, and a rich family. But I wasn't so bad myself. I was a handsome, well-built man, and I was only 26. I had a master's from a top-tier university, a job at a prestigious research institute, and a good salary. Even without her, it wouldn't be hard for me to find a nice, professional girl from a decent family. Why did I have to keep subjecting myself to her family's tests? I'm sure I want to break up. Sophia, from now on, we go our separate ways. 2 days later, Sophia posted a photo on her social feed. Picture of her and Liam kissing. Male lead, don't believe it. The female lead is just trying to make you angry. Exactly. She's just using her guy bestie to make you jealous. Call her. Sophia has opened your chat window 800 times today. Actually, I think the male lead and Laura are a great match. The cool, gentlemanly type and the little wildcat. They look so good together. I agree, the younger girl is way better. Laura looks like she knows what she's doing. Look at that waist, damn. While the comments were saying this, Laura was at my apartment, fixing a pipe. A pipe in the bathroom had burst for some reason. She happened to call me and I mentioned it offhandedly. She said she'd come over and take a look. I was surprised. A princess like her knows how to fix this stuff? 20 minutes later, Laura looked at me sheepishly. Mike, maybe you should just call someone else to fix this. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I called a plumber on TaskRabbit, and he had it fixed in 5 minutes. Laura's clothes were soaked, so she had to take a shower. I didn't have any women's clothes, so I gave her a large bathrobe. Then I washed and dried her clothes. What do you want to eat? She hadn't had dinner yet, having come straight from her studio. After returning to the country, Laura had started a short-form drama studio with two friends. They specialized in over-the-top CO dramas, and I heard the subscription rates were pretty good. I had only recently learned that Laura had actually studied directing in college. Anything is fine. I'll eat whatever you make. She wasn't picky at all. I opened the fridge. It was empty. I had been so busy these past few days that I hadn't had a chance to go grocery shopping. How about I take you out to eat? A fancy dinner. You helped me so much and you lent me all that money. I haven't even properly thanked you yet. Laura stopped drying her hair, looking up at me, her clear eyes shimmering with moisture. You really want to thank me, Mike? Of course. Seriously, at this point, I was practically ready to worship her. Then be my boyfriend. Her words were direct and simple. They left me speechless, unsure of what to say. Mike, do you remember what I asked you all those years ago? If I get into your university, will you promise me one thing? You know what that one thing is now, right? Speaking of the past, I felt pretty ashamed. I had disappeared without a word, and I had taken her mother's money. I'm sorry. Back then, your mother, I figured. Otherwise, you wouldn't have just cut off all contact. I don't blame you at all, Mike. Right now, I just want to make up for all the years we lost. I want to be with you. Laura stepped closer to me, confessing her feelings seriously. She had just showered, and a familiar, fragrant scent wafted over me. Her hair was fluffy and damp, with a few drops of water on her forehead. That beautiful, captivating face, enhanced by the water droplets, was as fresh as a morning rose, truly exquisite. At this moment, that rose was looking at me. Her eyes were bright and clear, without a trace of impurity. She was waiting for me to give her the answer she wanted. Even though I had just ended a failed relationship, even though I didn't want to jump into another one so quickly, I had to admit, in that moment, my heart was racing. I pushed her away, slightly flustered. It's a little too soon to talk about this. You know, I just got out of a relationship. I just want to focus on my career right now, not think about anything else. Laura wasn't discouraged at all. She looked at me, her tone firm. That's okay, Mike. I can wait for you. A month later, Olivia threw another party at the same villa. She invited me too. Since I got off work early and was bored, I drove over ahead of time. Not long after I arrived, Sophia and Liam showed up. The moment Liam saw me, he immediately linked arms with Sophia and said defiantly, Mike, Sophia and I are together now. Stop trying to scheme your way back in. I was completely baffled. I was just sitting on the couch scrolling through my phone. I hadn't done anything. What scheme? Liam snorted, looking smug. Don't think I don't know why you're here. You knew Sophia was coming today, so you came to ambush her. Didn't you? Let me tell you, we're getting engaged soon. Don't even think about making a comeback. He had said it all. I was torn between staying silent and offering a brief explanation. Just then, a call came in, so I got up and walked outside. I finished my call in the courtyard. When I turned around, I saw Sophia. She was glaring at me, seemingly full of resentment. Mike, if you don't bow your head and admit you were wrong, I'm really going to get together with Liam. This couple was getting more and more ridiculous. I really didn't want to deal with them anymore. Congratulations. I wish you two a long and happy life together. I was about to leave, but she grabbed my arm. Enough, Mike. Do you enjoy acting? I've given you an out. I suggest you take it before you go too far. I didn't get it. How had Sophia become so arrogant and delusional? She wasn't like this before. What makes you think I'm acting? She scoffed, looking at me with complete confidence. You're not even close with Olivia and the others. Why would you come here if not to get back together with me? I've even figured it all out for you. Tonight, you'll go to my house, apologize to my mom and grandma, and then behave yourself. No more being willful. Before the end of the year, I'll consider getting engaged to you. I laughed coldly. Somehow, Sophia had become a master of psychological manipulation. Give me $200 million, and I'll consider getting engaged to you. She was dumbfounded. Are you insane? I retorted sarcastically, "You're not even willing to part with 200 million, and you still want to get engaged to me? Mike," a sweet, soft voice called out. I looked back. Laura had arrived. She walked over and naturally took my hand. Our fingers intertwined. When Sophia saw this, her face changed dramatically. She stared at us. "What are you two doing?" "Mike and I are dating," Laura said frankly. Sophia's gaze shot toward me like two lasers. Her eyes were as sharp as knives. "Mike, I need an explanation." "There's nothing to explain. Laura and I started dating after we broke up." Sophia's face turned ashen. Just a moment ago, she had been calm and confident, but now she looked as if she had been struck by lightning. Her eyes burned with rage. Sensing her mood was off, I said to Laura, "Let's go inside." The next second, a roar echoed through the courtyard. "Laura, you bitch! You dare steal my man!" The two women started fighting, throwing all decorum to the wind. The ever-dramatic comments popped up at just the right time. "The female lead has officially lost it. Both of her boyfriends have been stolen by her own best friends. Fool me once. Shame on you, fool me twice. Shame on me." Sophia must have never heard that saying. Whose fault is it? She had such a prize of a boyfriend, and instead of cherishing him, she had to test him. It blew up in her face. Seriously, she has no sense. If your friends were ugly, fine. But they're all gorgeous and rich. If I were Mike, I'd seduce every single one of them. What's a few girlfriends? Ms. Laura had taken a beating, but she was in a great mood. Back at her family's house, I took out the first aid kit to clean her wounds. Hiss, she couldn't help but suck in a breath. I was startled and put down the cotton swab. "How is it? Does it hurt a lot?" She chuckled, her face a beautiful mess of battle scars. "It doesn't hurt. I just wanted to see that look of pity on your face." I was a little speechless, stroking her soft hair. "Sophia plays rough. She went straight for your face. Her face is in even worse shape," she huffed proudly. I found it strange that women always seem to go for each other's faces when they fought. "So she can't seduce you, Mike." Ms. Laura provided the answer. Sophia was probably thinking the same thing. "Mike, can you stay here tonight?" I was on high alert. It was because of her series of small requests before, like, "Mike, can we hold hands? Can I have a goodbye kiss? Can we make out?" I hadn't planned on getting into another relationship so quickly, but she had easily coaxed me into making it official. Seeing my hesitation, Laura whimpered, "I'm just afraid the cuts will hurt tonight, and there'll be no one to put medicine on them for me. Look, my lip is split. What could I possibly do?" The facts later proved that a split lip doesn't mean a broken tongue. Could still do plenty. Laura's experience level was low, but she was proactive and had a strong desire to please. I was quickly lulled into a daze by her. My whole body felt like it was floating on a cloud. I never expected Sophia to be waiting for me outside my office building. She seemed much calmer. "You're dating Laura because she lent you money, right? I'll give you 50,000. Pay her back immediately, and we'll pretend this never happened. We'll get back together, and we'll get engaged at the end of the month." I was really sick of her now. I didn't want to say another word to her. "So, you're agreeing to the 200 million? Sophia faltered, her face a mixture of confusion, bewilderment, and bafflement. "Mike, why did you suddenly change? Are you worried I won't give you money to spend after we're married?" I had been thoroughly spoiled by Laura last night. I had no appetite for the empty promises she was serving up today. "Sophia, we dated for 5 years. I accompanied your grandmother to the temple every Saturday. That's 4 days a month. How many days is that in a year? And in 5 years? When your mother was injured in a car accident, I stayed at the hospital and took care of her for 2 whole months. But when my mother was sick and needed surgery, you were nowhere to be seen. I tried to borrow money from you for the surgery, and you just went silent. What do you think I would think? Before, I liked you, and I wanted to marry you, so I tried my best to impress your family, hoping to pass all your tests. But at some point, you started taking my efforts for granted, as if they were just a required course for marrying into your family. I really don't want to do this anymore. In fact, I've wanted to break up with you for a long time. Ever since Liam started his daily suicide threats and you started rushing to his rescue every day, With the two of you being all ambiguous and flirty, I stopped loving you. I thought I had made my intentions and position crystal clear. Surely she wouldn't keep pestering me now. I was about to leave, but Sophia grabbed me. In the struggle, she caught sight of the red marks on my chest. Sophia's eyes immediately reddened, her face turning pale. She asked in a trembling voice, "You two slept together?" My expression instantly turned cold. "What's it to you?" "Of course it's my business. Mike, you're my boyfriend. I haven't agreed to break up with you." She tugged at me forcefully, her emotions running high, a hint of madness flashing in her eyes as she tried to pull me into her arms. People were coming and going from the office building, and some had started to stop and stare. I had no choice but to slap her, to snap her out of it. Sophia clutched her face, in complete disbelief that I had actually hit her. She stood there, frozen, her lips trembling slightly, tears welling up in her eyes. "You hit me? Sophia, we dated once. Don't make me regret ever knowing you." She looked at me, utterly devastated, and stumbled back a few steps as if her strength had completely drained away. From that day on, I classified Sophia as a complete stranger and blocked her on everything. I didn't expect to get a call from an unknown number at 2 in the morning one night. The voice on the other end was hoarse. "Mike, I'll give you 200 million. Can we get married right now?" I was actually quite surprised. She'd had a change of heart. Until I saw the comments. LOL, ever since she got stuck with Liam, Sophia's life has been a nightmare. To please the White family elders, Liam accompanied Sophia's grandmother to the temple last week. He ended up setting the temple on fire and putting the old lady in a coma from smoke inhalation. The entire White family regrets everything. That's not all. Sophia tried to break up with Liam, but he just threatened suicide all the time, jumping off buildings, slitting his wrists. Now her whole family sees him as a plague. I told you so. I said the female lead would play games until she ended up groveling to get him back. See? I was right. So that was it. But even if Sophia offered me 200 million now, I wasn't interested. I already had my own little wildcat. Laura is very clingy, and she gets jealous easily. But she's also very generous. She loves to give me things: diamonds, bags, watches, even cars. I don't refuse. And I no longer feel the need to give her gifts of equal value, like I did in my last relationship. I don't have that kind of money. I accept them graciously, and then give her a sweet, fragrant kiss in return, or maybe a simple bracelet as a reciprocal gift. Of course, the price difference might be astronomical, but just that is enough to make Ms. Laura feel completely satisfied. I no longer worry about whether I'm good enough for her. If we end up getting married, great. If not, then I'll just enjoy my girlfriend's soft, warm embrace. Enjoy the sweet, intoxicating pleasure she brings me. Enjoy every moment of this relationship, right here and now.